Why does it have to be a cause for you?
Because everything that has a beginning has a cause.
Why can't it just happen by itself, like spontaneously? Like, who created God to give God like a cause?
God is an eternal being.
Why
He
can't
is
you say
uncaused
universe is an eternal
cause.
being? Why can't you just say universe is an eternal being that was
Because
always
you
there?
can't.
A question about origins turns into a sharper dispute. If the universe had a beginning, does it need a cause, or could it simply happen on its own? One side insists beginnings require explanations, while the other challenges why that rule should apply at all. If something can be uncaused, why not the universe itself? And if time could exist before the universe, what would that even mean? What counts as the most reasonable explanation, and what counts as evidence? Let's dive in.
The Big Bang Theory shows us that the universe is about 15 billion years old.
Yeah, so.
There's a beginning to the universe. The universe is not eternal.
But like, there might be time before that. You never know. The beginning of the universe. You're saying like time. The beginning of time is the beginning of the universe. How do you know there isn't time before the beginning of the universe? For time to like actually give time to create the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Sir, if the universe has a beginning, there's got to be a cause for the universe. The Big Bang shows us that the universe is not eternal.
Like,
The
what
universe
shows you
has a
God was
beginning.
eternal? What proves evidence that God was eternal? There's no evidence in the world that proves God was eternal. It was just there.
Right, but the evidence is that you've got to have a cause for the beginning of the universe.
Yeah. Okay. What's the cause? What do you
Oh,
think
what's
cause
the most reasonable explanation?
It just happens.
It just happened. Okay, fine. If you and I hear a bang,
Uh,
we ask, what was that? Who caused that?
uh,
Well, if there's a big bang, it's very logical to ask, who caused that? And if I hear a bang, and you and I hear a bang, and I ask you, what was that? Who caused that? And you say, oh, nothing. Nothing.
Okay, what caused God then? Like, you could just be like, what caused God? Why
God
was
does not
there?
have a beginning. That's why there's no cause for God. God is an eternal being.
Like, there's like no proof that God is internal. He's even there.
I know there's no proof that God is
Then, like,
eternal.
you're basing your-
But
all
you've
your
got to
evidence
ask
on, like,
yourself,
nothing.
what is most reasonable to believe in light of the evidence? Now, if the evidence is that the universe is eternal, then the universe doesn't need a cause. And that's what used to be believed. But the Big Bang has forced a lot of scientists to realize it's more reasonable to believe in the beginning God, an uncaused cause, an eternal being.
Okay. So you're basing everything on this cause and effect thing. You're basing it on like the existence of God as like because of the cause thing. You're saying everything has to occur because there's a cause.
No, I'm saying that's one piece of evidence.
That's your major piece of evidence.
No, it
Without
is
that,
not.
Like without the cause thing, there's no evidence basing God.
All right, here's my second piece of evidence.
Okay.
What percent of the atmosphere is oxygen? It's about, what is it?
20. 20%.
Okay, 20.
Yeah.
All right? 20% of the atmosphere is oxygen. What would happen to us if it was 25%? See ya. Exactly. Well, we'd all go up in flames. Fire would burst out all over the place. What would happen if the atmosphere was 15% oxygen? We wouldn't breathe. We'd suffocate. Life is balanced on such a razor's edge on this planet. It's incredible. In order for this planet to be life-sustaining instead of life-prohibiting, there's got to be an intelligent mind behind that kind of order.
Well, if you like look at winning a lottery, that the chance of that is actually really low. If you're like, wow, actually I won a lottery, the chance of that is really low, so it must be a reason I won a lottery. But if you're given like infinite amount of time to win a lottery, you're gonna win it sooner or later.
So we don't have an infinite amount of time.
How do you know there's not infinite amount of time?
We have 15 billion years since the universe began. We don't have an infinite amount of time.
You're saying the beginning of the universe is the beginning of time. How do you know there's not time before the beginning of the universe?
There's no time before the Big Bang.
How do you know that? There's no proof of that.
Yes, that's
Why is there proof of that? How
there's
do you
no
know
universe before the Big Bang.
The universe happens.
The universe begins 15 billion years ago. There's no time. There's no matter. There's nothing. Zippo. The universe began 15 billion years ago is what the Big Bang says.
Time is part of the universe. It's not something outside.
All right. So not only do we have this cause, we also have the order and design of the universe demands an intelligent mind.
Okay. What give God intelligence to like create the universe?
Pardon?
What give the God the intelligence to create the universe and like do as He wishes? And say
God
this
is an
the
eternal
right way
being
to
who
create the
always
universe.
has intelligence. He's eternal in his nature.
Why can't God be stupid and like be internal? You know, like
Well, God can be
what makes
stupid.
Him so smart and have like IQ of like 200? You know?
God can be stupid,
Yeah, okay.
but the evidence of the human eye, the central nervous system, the amazing razor's edge that life is balanced on, points to God not being stupid. It points to God being brilliant. Third point. If you and I are walking up and down the beach and we see ripples in the sand, we can say, oh, look what the waves did. If you and I go up and down the beach and we see in the sand, John loves Mary, we don't say, wow, look at what the waves did. Whenever information, compact information is communicated, it demands an intelligent mind. Study a single living cell, the DNA. There is more information densely packed in the DNA of a single cell than there is in 3 sets of the 30-volume Encyclopedia Britannica. Which is more plausible? The information packed in DNA comes from chance, or the information in the DNA of a single cell demands an intelligent mind, a creator. For me, that's simple. Every time densely packed information is in front of me, it demands an intelligent mind who communicates it. The DNA of a single living cell demands some type of creator. That's my third piece of evidence for the existence of some type of God. My fourth piece of evidence for the existence of some type of God is moral absolutes. It's been a delight to meet some moral relativists out here this week. They've helped convince me more than ever that there are some moral absolutes. How? I stand here and say, all right, you're a moral relativist. When is the slaughter of an innocent child possibly good? And the answers that I get to that are so hollow, it's incredible. There's no instance when the slaughter of an innocent child is possibly good. It is absolutely evil. Well, the only way there can be a moral absolute is if there is some type of mind prior to the human mind that defines justice, that defines the dignity of life. If there is no God, if there is no moral lawgiver, then guess who makes up right and wrong? You do, and I do. And if I want to abuse children and call that good, you're not right and I'm not wrong.
Well, it's based on the culture. There's some things in the culture, different cultures that like that's right in one culture is not accepted in another culture. So there's not like absolute. It depends on the culture and that you're brought up on, what actually like is right and what's wrong.
Okay, I'm sorry. I better take a course in communication. Sir, when I say they're moral absolutes, I'm not saying that every culture and every person agrees what they are. What I am saying is the way you want to live your life and the way I choose to live my life is that I don't care what the Nazi culture says. Gassing Jews is wrong. I don't care what some cannibal says. Eating your children is wrong. That's the way you live your life. It's the way I live my life. And what my moral relativist friend, the trap my moral relativist friend inevitably fall into is, they say, it's all relative. And then they use the words should and ought. And whenever you use the word should and ought, you betray your moral relativism. You're saying, wait a second, you should not have done this. What do you mean should not? If everything's relative, there's no should. There's no oughtness. There's just, you've got your opinion, I've got my opinion. You like Coke, I like Sprite. You like rape, I don't like rape. You like murder, I don't like murder. You like Teresa, I like Hitler. It's all just opinion. It's all relative. So you can't live that out. Because you've got a conscience, and your conscience kicks in and you learn to distinguish between right and wrong, good and evil. Watch two moral relativists get married.
Huh?
Watch two moral relativists get married. Watch them start fighting. Listen to the language they use. You should not have spoken to me that way. What do you mean? It's all relative, man. You just can't live out moral relativism. Well, if you can't live it out, don't you think you better go back and re-examine whether it's true or not? There are some moral absolutes. They clearly point to the existence of some type of God. Those are 4 pieces of evidence I've given you. Why I'm convinced God exists. Thanks for raising that issue.
No problem.